What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with RFTools. And today, guys, we are going to be messing around with the environmental controller, which I personally think is a super awesome block, mainly because I hate dealing with beacons. Now, obviously, beacons do have their benefit, but the environmental controller pretty much acts like a super powered beacon, but only requires you to make a single block. You deliver power to that single block, you put in a couple upgrades based on exactly what you want, you set the exact area that you want the buffs to affect different mobs in, including your character, and that's really it. So we're going to be setting that up today. The reason that I wanted to wait a little bit to set it up is because even though it's super useful, it does require a little bit of power, and it's a little bit expensive to set up the exact block itself. You're going to need a block of diamonds, a block of emeralds, so that can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to get. But once you have all that stuff, I definitely think it's something worth looking into because it's probably going to save you a lot of time and a lot of, I guess, trouble if you're able to make some of the upgrades, which I would like to eventually make, such as making sure no hostile mobs spawn in a certain area. And that would be great because, as you guys know, I don't light stuff up, and so I just rely on sleeping through the night. And I have died many times, not in this series yet, I don't think, but I have died many times in Surviving with series due to walking around a corner and having a creeper blow up on me, or being shot by skeletons, anything like that. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of dumb stuff. So, without further ado, we can get into doing some crafting. There really isn't a ton that we need to craft today, but one thing you need to keep in mind is we do need to give power to this system, and so while we won't just be using the single environmental controller block, we're basically only going to be using that for the build, and then the rest will be just for delivering power. So to deliver power, we're going to do the same thing that we've been working with, doing a modular storage setup. We're going to use the remote storage module, which is going to allow us to hook into our tree farm setup, and we're just going to pull some charcoal from that using, I guess we're going to make a filter. I thought I already had one made, but we're going to make a filter, and then we are going to steal a hopper out of there, and that really should be all that we're going to need. We actually may need to steal a coal generator. We actually probably have the stuff to make a new one. I didn't think about that because that is the part that's actually going to get us the power. So we will worry about that in a bit. One thing I do want to show you guys, and of course it is becoming nighttime, so I should sleep, as I was just talking about that. But one thing I want to show you guys quickly before we jump into this, finally starting to grow some sugarcane for when we need those filters so we don't run into that issue the last couple episodes. But this setup looks super messed up right now, and that is because I've been working on expanding it a little bit. And if we look in here, I am actually netting charcoal. Slowly but surely, I am netting charcoal. And this is actually slowly but surely filling up in here, considering we do a lot less planting than we do clearing. So the clearing one is never going to fill up. But once this one fills up, it won't burn through as much charcoal. So we're netting a fair bit of charcoal using only one setup to create it. And we're getting a huge surplus of spruce wood. So really what needs to happen is to continue gaining power, we need to make more of these. But I just wanted to show you guys that that's where we are going to be getting our charcoal for power from today. And yeah, that's really it. So let's get into the crafting. So first things first, we are going to need to make a syringe. And the reason you need to make this is because we are going to be creating some of these environmental modules. And these are what you're going to put into the environmental controller to actually get the buffs. So you've got a couple, you've got regeneration, you got the potion effects, regeneration, speed, haste, saturation, and then you got some cool ones. You got feather falling, flight. This one is one of the more expensive ones. The one that I really want was the peaceful environmental module, but this one takes a ton to make. So it's going to take a little bit of work to get all these syringes full, and I will show you how to fill them up and how they work. It's very simple. But yeah, you need to get all these different mobs. So I'm going to have to go through and find all of these, and that's going to be a little bit of a pain. But eventually I would like to have that one. And then you can have some negative effects, no teleportation, which would be great if you're farming Enderman, which we will eventually do for our Endergenic generator, so that one's going to be huge. And then we're going to have, blindness, weakness, so again, potion effects, and then luck and glowing. So just some pretty cool things that you can slip in there, and you can see each one is going to have an RF per tick per cubic block. So the more area you cover, the more expensive it's going to be. So you want to keep the radius relatively small because obviously as you increase the radius, you are going to exponentially increase the cost. So a little bit of a downside with this, but nothing too awful. So we're going to be going for the speed environmental module today. Super cheap. It's going to be 0.001 RF per tick per cubic block. And to make this, we need a syringe with horse essence, or basically horse blood, in it. And to make the syringe, it's 2 iron ingots and a glass bottle. So we're going to make one of those. And I went out and we got a little area over here where I have made a friend, and he's not going to like me very much in a couple seconds because unfortunately you do not hold right click to draw with the syringe. You actually have to beat the mob with it and just get the blood, which I think thematically it's not really making sense to me, you know? Like, blood's going everywhere when you're punching something to mush. You're not, so don't look at me. Don't look at me. Oh gosh. Look at that face. How can I do this to him? Oh, we have to hit him so many times. Please don't die, friend. Okay, I think it's full. Okay, so you can right click. It's full now, so I apologize to my friend here. He has made the greatest sacrifice. It's actually awful, such an awful thing to have to do. I really hate that. I wish you could draw blood. Like, it sounds super dumb for me to say because I'm not like a vegetarian or anything, but in a video game, having to stand here and punch a horse that I have trapped in my house, that's my friend. Rough one, boys. It's a rough one. It's like 3 in the morning right now. I'm back at school and everything, and I'm being traumatized by punching a horse in a video game. So that's how my life is going. Next thing is we're going to have to make a machine frame, as usual, and then the environmental controller. So there's actually a lot missing from this one. I only have 3 ender pearls in here. I could have sworn I got 4. Oh my gosh. Do I have to go out and find another enderman? I just slept through the night. That's not kosher. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that's going to be a little bit rough. I thought I had 4 ender pearls in there. I swear I went out and got 4, and we just slept through the night, so we can't even go out and find one. Which means we're going to have to hop off camera and either, I guess, wait or track one down in like a cave somewhere. So pretty much going to have to wait. So I guess I will see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so we are back and it is a brand new day in game. Luckily, I did manage to find an enderman. Really, the most painful part was not tracking one down. It was actually waiting for it to become nighttime. I went and got a couple slices of pizza while I waited because we had just slept, and it took quite some time for that to happen. So yeah, really annoying having to do that, but you know, I'm never going to complain about getting time to eat pizza. So something I also did was I threw the coal generator in here as a recipe, so we can easily make that. Some things that we need to do real quick though would be to make some sticks, and then we got to make for the recipe. Oh, why don't they stack? Oh, it puts them in your inventory. That's right. We need to make some redstone torches, so we need to make 2 of those, and then we should have everything. I think we need to make a machine frame. And are we missing a gold nugget? No, we would be for crafting 8, but so we got the machine frame, and I'll just throw this all in there too. And then we are good to make the coal generator. So there we go. We have the coal generator, and now we can click all this stuff out of here and craft up our blocks. I don't know why some stuff doesn't stack based on how you click it in. Okay, so we have our block of diamond. Whew. Always hate having to craft those and use those up. Granted, you don't really use diamonds for anything in here anyway. And then we're going to make... Wait, what? Oh, right. I thought we just duplicated gold. No, unfortunately we did not. So we got that, and then we need to make... We already have a block of iron, which is good. And then we need to make a block of emeralds. Again, very painful if you don't have any villagers nearby. Okay, so other than that, we should be good to make 1 environmental controller. There we go. Very expensive as a base cost, but I kind of see it like, I guess it's not really like investing in like a Prius or something, because there you actually save a ton of money, and here you're not really saving money, you're just getting a benefit. But you know, it's kind of like that, you know, it's environmental, you know, it's got the word environment in it, and Priuses save the environment, so you know, it's all good. Yeah, so that is... Yep, 3 a.m. hitting me hard. Okay, so then we're going to craft the filter module because, again, we only want charcoal coming out of this. We don't want any wood slipping in there because we want it to be making the most efficient use of all of our, you know, power sources as possible. And so if we burn the wood before we turn it into charcoal, we are wasting potential power. So there we go. We should have everything we need now if we grab out one of the modular storage, I believe. And... yeah, so we do need to go do a couple things too before we start setting this up, because I am going to set it up inside the house, the central location, probably best so that we can keep the radius as small as possible and still hit everything. If we look over here, you can see it's still slowly going up in here, the charcoal, but it's very slow. And like I said, eventually, I think this should stop burning it I don't know if these actually stop burning them when they're full on power. So I'm not sure, because it still has the animation. It'd be nice if it did stop burning it. We might be able to get a redstone setup sort of going in there too eventually to make it stop. But over here is never going to stop, and yet we still generate some charcoal. So that's great. We also have manually been refilling this to keep it running. I have not automated it yet because I plan on moving it very soon. But yeah, this is going to be the modular storage setup. So we are going to put the remote storage module again in here. If you haven't seen how the wireless storage setup works, you can go check out the last video. But essentially, this is going to be put into one of the modular storage blocks, and it's going to connect every modular storage block that has a remote ID 1 remote storage module in it to this tier 3 storage module, which currently has all the yields from this farm in it. So we actually need to grab out some charcoal. So I'm just going to grab half a stack from here, and the reason being is because we're going to need to put the filter in, and we're going to need to put this on whitelist. Just double check to make sure, and I think we're going to put it down right over here. And the reason being is, again, because I want to keep it as central as possible, and I don't know really where else I'd like to put it. It would be kind of in the way. Actually, maybe we'll put it right here, right here. So what we're going to do is put down the environmental controller, and then we are going to put down the coal generator probably right on top of it, and then we are going to put down the modular storage up here, and we're just going to keep it in one big line. What? Do I have 2 of those in my inventory? Huh. I didn't grab out a hopper, though. Okay, well, we need a hopper. So we're going to grab that out, and that is going to go right there. And so we're going to throw the filter in first to make sure it doesn't suck anything else out. Throw this in, and it's going to suck pretty much all the charcoal out. So right now, I'm really, really hoping that it doesn't cause an issue for our system. But if it does, I can come in and manually feed stuff in there. Obviously, before we want to put that in, we'd like to have a nice backlog so that it can fill up the entire hopper without completely draining our system. Like, this is about to pull all the charcoal out of the system. And that can be a little bit of an issue because if some of the stuff that needs charcoal doesn't end up getting refilled, well, then we're kind of, you know, dead in the water for our power setup. And then I have to go manually reset it for a while. But either way, I'm perfectly fine leaving it like this. So this is getting power, and it's slowly filling up the internal buffer in here too. And so now we need to actually craft the buff itself, which is going to be the plain one. Now we can do speed plus, and this is going to require 2 syringes and the initial one. So eventually we can upgrade to that, but it's going to use 3 times the amount of power, which we really don't have to work with right now. But to craft this, it's just going to be the syringe, gold, redstone, and an ink sac. So nothing super crazy, and it actually only empties out the syringe. So you only need as many as you're going to need in the crafting recipe, but for the peaceful one, you're going to need 9. So essentially as many as you could possibly need for that one. But now what we can do is throw this in here, and you can see that I get affected by it because we've got no limits on who's affected, but you can see the power is draining super fast. And the reason is because we have this set to a radius of 50, which is insane, and it's going from a height of 30 to 70. Well, we're only going to be between roughly 60 and 70. So for now, we're going to keep it 60 to 70 with a radius of, let's say, 27. And let's see if this can maintain an increase in power. Yeah, so that should not burn a ton of power, thankfully. But you can see now that we do have the buff. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, we're moving a little bit faster when we run around. And that buff will constantly be getting refreshed. I believe it refreshes around, is it 19 or 18 seconds? So it's 18 seconds. So it refreshes around there. So if you do end up running out of the zone, it won't get refreshed, but you'll still have it for a little bit of time in case you run back. So it should cover us running around most of our base while we're doing some building. The only unfortunate thing is if I ever do go on another mining trip, which I haven't been doing recently, we've just been using this setup over here, and I think it's almost time to run it again. This is out of coal, but we can run this and see. Drains it wicked fast, but it gets us a fair bit of iron and coal. And then honestly, I just take the coal out of here and throw it back in here for some more power. But yeah, so now we have the environmental controller going, and one thing to note is when you work with the environmental controller, you have the option of, say if you're on a server or something, or you only want negative effects to affect certain mobs or anything like that, you do have the option of coming down here and saying players in the list above will not get the effects, players in the above will get the effects, so blacklisting and whitelisting, affect hostile and passive mobs, affect hostile mobs, affect passive mobs, affect all mobs, and then back to players in the list above will not get affected. So if you close out of that, it goes away, but you're able to add names by typing them in here and add a player to the list, remove a player, and then you also can fill up this entire buff bar on the side. Unfortunately, there is a limit, but I believe you're not going to want to double up on any of these, so there's really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a couple more than you could possibly fill in here on the side, but I guess you could just make a second one if you really wanted to and place it like right next to the first one, and then you'd have no issue if you're one of those hoity-toity fancy people that has all the power in the world, unlike Rage playing right now. But I think that's going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. I know it's not a super complicated setup, but after doing the whole tree farm setup and everything, I was feeling sort of a simple setup for the day, so didn't want to go with anything crazy. Also, really hoping that we get some Buildcraft updates soon, just because it has been a little bit difficult to kind of come up with stuff to make videos on, considering we normally would have 2 series going and I could flip-flop between the 2, but right now we're pretty much pigeonholed into RFTools until we get a Buildcraft update. So I'll see if there's anything fun that we can do in Buildcraft to get some more of those videos out before the robot update comes out, and I know, you know, we've still heard from the developer that that still is a long ways off, so there is a possibility even that we will start a 3rd series, and I'll talk to you guys about that eventually, but that's usually the reason between the delayed videos is it's hard for me to come up with stuff to record, due to, like, I guess lack of inspiration. Typically flipping between mods will help with that, and since we can't do that right now, it kind of causes a couple issues. But yeah, so we may start a 3rd series and put you know, Buildcraft completely on the back burner and just finish that series off when the update comes out, but I prefer to not do that. So if there is any light at the end of the tunnel in terms of that update and I hear about it, I will let you guys know. I won't make any decisions for, you know, a little bit, but I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on that, sort of, if you have any. I know some people don't really like a ton of series running at once. I know other people love to have multiple series because it keeps it fresh. But yeah, either way, I just want to say thank you guys for watching the video, and I know it's been a little bit, so I hope you guys had sort of an awesome holiday season, I guess I'll call it, you know, Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, you know, all the different things you may celebrate, and Valentine's Day is coming up fast, so anyone that's got a significant other, much like myself, you better get planning on stuff that you're going to be getting them, so I wish you the best of luck, and, you know, good luck to me too, I guess, but I will definitely be talking to you guys before then. Just wanted to kind of give you the heads up in case you've been slacking a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to stop rambling, and thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later.
Standing in a glass bowl at the end of a black hole, cold, lost and upside down. Faces swirling past me, all my memories rolling vastly.